How is it going, everyone? It's Johnny Beard here with another episode of the Streamer Stories podcast. My guest today is a lovely, lovely Irishman and a good friend of mine. His name is ZanarkinGaming. Here he is. Hey, sir. How you doing?
Hello. Welcome. I'm not nervous at all.
Why are you nervous? It's only me.
It's true. But I'm also terrible at conversation.
Oh, okay. No,
this is a learning curve.
I disagree. I've seen you on stream. You have fantastic conversations with your
These are lies. What are you talking about? Why am I here again?
This is not an intervention. We've talked about this. Your mum is not in the other room.
Where's the cat? Oh, there, right, mine.
Zanarkin, I hope you're well. I
am.
I'm a big fan of your content. I'd like to think if we've got a good friendship, but I genuinely think you're great. I love your content. I think you're a really good streamer, really great entertainer, and just one of the most charming and loveliest men I know when it comes to this part of the streaming world. So I'm happy that you're here. So
well, believe me, the feeling is very mutual. Trust me.
Welcome to the Streamer Stories podcast. So, would you like to introduce yourself? So, like in terms of like what type of content do you do? How much social media do you do as well? Like in terms of like where can we find you?
Well, for obvious reasons, hello. I'm Adam Loftus. That is my full legal name. Whatever we need to know about that. But yeah, you should know me as Zanarkin on Twitch and mainly Twitch. But there is obviously the socials, the TikToks and stuff like that. I'm not huge on those just because I'm not a big fan of social media in general. But that's just the way I was growing up too. But I use it to the best of I get slowly using a bit more and more as time has been going on. I think in the last maybe month I've kind of gotten a kind of schedule as it would be in terms of social media and stuff. So like you're most likely going to find me on Twitch more than anywhere else, but that's slowly changing, I guess.
Yeah, hell yeah. What type of content do you do then? What type of
everything. That's such a broad question.
It's true.
I mean, between modern stuff, retro stuff, horror, indie, and like whatever pretty much grabs my attention, I kind of get pulled towards it. And I like showcasing stuff like that, the stuff maybe that I remember from back then that people don't remember at all.
Yes.
Which there's plenty of games like that, and then of course there's the new stuff that obviously that I'm enjoying or getting into, or stuff that I missed out on.
Yes.
During growing up and stuff, because like again I missed out a lot on some of the big like Nintendo stuff growing up, because I was here you go, I was a PS1 kid, so yeah. I've been finally getting through a lot of that stuff as well in the retro side of things, and then of course dabbling here and there of what kind of pops up and what becomes popular that grabs my attention. And yeah, it's just a wild, chaotic mess that I've somehow managed to control over the past 2.5 years.
Yeah, man, and it's a chaotic mess. I definitely love, and I must say as well, like we have variety streamers and we have variety streamers. You're definitely up there with the eclecticness of variety, and I love that. Again, you do play some very obscure.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag,
and I do love that for you. So again, if you guys watching or listening to this want a variety streamer, that you've got to check out Zan. Honestly, great person, and I know I'm saying that a lot, but I mean it. So, and you're from the lovely Emerald Isle as well.
Aye, born and raised, still here. Help. No, I do love this country. For better or worse, I do enjoy living in Ireland. And it's a beautiful country when it wants to be. Assuming the weather decides to go in your favor, which is never often.
No.
I think we've had 2 weeks of sunshine in the past year, so there's that.
Yeah, man, I feel you there. Being in North Wales, we've got similar climates. So.
Well, we're literally a stone's throw from each other, so yeah. It's not that different.
It's sad, isn't it? Dude, we got to meet. I know we said this before. We've got to meet.
I know. I tried the last time for the was October. It was the October one.
Yeah, Nightbreed.
Last year, and then unfortunately, stuff got in the way of that. But again, I will keep trying
to
get to one of these things.
Can't wait to give you a big hug. if you would accept that, of course. But anyway, that's now. So let's talk about young Zanarkin. Let's talk about baby Zanarkin. Oh yes. So, what do you know? Like, do you remember what your very earliest memories of like seeing games? Never mind playing them. Did you play them?
Okay, so the earliest thing I can pull from the top of my head is, like, obviously I have vague memories of seeing like older like Nintendo stuff from the the late 90s and stuff like that. I obviously didn't play those at the time, but I think the most vivid memory I have of like kind of physically sitting in front of somebody playing a video game is probably, weirdly enough, and probably shouldn't be the first video game I saw as a small child. But I vividly remember my father. I don't know why he even had a PS1 at the time. I don't know where he got it. It was probably given to him. So I'd never even asked where that came from in the first place. But now I probably should. It was the tutorial mission of Driver 1. And he never, and to this day, never got out of that tutorial sequence in the underground car park. I still remember that vividly, and I still laugh about that because that was the beginning and end of his career in Driver.
Yes. Short but sweet career.
I do also remember he had the light gun with the Die Hard trilogy. Again, nice. Probably shouldn't have been sat in front of that at like what, 3 and 4 years old, but here we are. But yeah, they were the two I remember, at least in terms of not playing but seeing.
Yeah.
And then obviously it came to a point where I was looking, as like, well, I probably should have something that's child friendly in the house in case he goes messing with it. And that led to my first game that was child friendly, I suppose, being Crash 1.
Oh, nice. Wow, yeah.
So Crash 1 and Spyro 1 were pretty much the first two games that were mine, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, what a beginning that is. I mean,
yeah.
The driver. Have you been to Driver Mission?
I don't think I've even tried to. I just vividly remember, because I don't think I had. You know what? To be fair, I don't even remember if I ever did try it after that fact. Because again, I think I was just so engrossed. Then, pretty colorful game.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah.
So after time moved on, I don't think I ever. I think I played Driver 3. I think for the PS2. I think it was the first Driver I played, but I don't remember if I ever bothered with Driver 1. I don't recall if I did.
I can't imagine many people have started their Driver games on Driver 3. That's quite unusual. The first two were really, really big, weren't they? So, I do wonder how many.
I think it was a demo disc for Driver 3. I don't think it was the actual owning of the game.
Yeah, but how many people didn't pass that tutorial? It was the beginning.
It's notorious. Because I know to this day, loads of people still have like trauma over that tutorial sequence.
I remember watching like Watch Mojo videos on YouTube, and then like they got like the hardest games or hardest missions. It's like it's got to be Driver. It's got to number 1 Driver. Yeah, fucking called it.
It's so strange for a game that's literally just about driving a car, and somehow to this day it's still causing people grief.
I generally, what's so funny is that, again, it's almost like, you know what, actually, thinking about it, Zanarkin, it's actually very realistic in terms of driving, because if you drive, you don't learn or do half the shit you do in your theory tests or your practical in real life. The same applies to Driver. You do all the slalom and all that. You don't do any of that in the game. So it's actually very realistic.
That's what I said, because I'm pretty sure the people that did get past that point then enjoyed a video game.
Yeah.
The rest of the people were then traumatized by the fact that they didn't know how to drive a car, even though they had a driver's license.
I just feel sorry for the people who spent £50 or dollars on the game. Oh man, but I did beat it. It took me ages, but yeah.
That was the fucking what you call it, like the Cuphead tutorial incident of yesteryear. Yes. That was the first.
100%.
Driver walked so Cuphead could run.
Yeah. Oh my god. But Crash 1 and Spyro 1, let's go. So playing Spyro. Can I start with Crash? So again, playing Crash 1. What were your thoughts of playing that? Then how did it feel to you?
Funnily enough, because again, now that we do also have the remake trilogies for both of those games, and I adore them both just as much now as I did then. I also found, at least in terms of for Crash separately, that game didn't feel as hard then as it does now.
Yeah.
And it's a weird thing that I didn't believe happened with aging. And I don't know if it's a case of I'm just spoiled by modern technology at this point, that I can't play as well. Like, I can still play them and beat them.
Yeah.
But, like, when it comes to, like, 100%ing them like I did back then, like, I still remember doing that, like, on the PS1, and I don't remember there being half as difficult as it was when I went to do it again for the Insane trilogy.
Yeah. Oh.
It's just like, am I getting worse at video games, or are games getting harder? What's happening?
It was so funny when the Crash Insane trilogy came out, and everyone had the same thing. They were like, oh, yay, nostalgia. Oh, what's this? This is torture. Like I said, I still loved it, and I enjoyed being able to go back through them again. But I definitely felt that, like, oh god, am I getting worse, or is this as hard as it was back then too? It's so funny, honestly. I loved it because I played both trilogies over like the decade since the 90s. So for me, it didn't necessarily feel much different because it was so ingrained in my core game memory, should we call it. So I didn't think it's that, nah. But seeing everyone else, like, was so, I loved it. I freaking loved it.
Like, I only really felt it in Crash 1. Crash 1 felt much more difficult than I remembered it. Like 2 and 3 kind of were pretty normal enough to what I remembered, but 1 just had, and don't even get me started on that bloody, I can't even remember the name of the level. I've deleted it from memory from PTSD and trauma. The Stormy Descent, whatever. That monstrosity.
I love it. Sorry.
I think it's a great level, but my god, that's just pain.
Oh, it's one of my genuine proudest achievements that I've got a gold relic on Stormy
Descent.
Because you got.
I know a few people that have done it.
Well, you have to beat without dying, don't you? So that's the hardest thing. It's not getting the good time; it's the not
dying.
So,
I was just like, it's like, because I did 100% the trilogy again for 1 and 2. I still haven't gone back and done 3 for the Insane trilogy, at least for the platinum. I've beaten it, just haven't gone back to do the full 100%. I think I got burnt out doing them all back to back, so I kind of stopped halfway with the third game. But then they released that DLC after the fact, and I took one look at that and was like, I choose life. I played it and I done it. I was like, that's enough. Yep. I don't hate myself enough to keep at that.
No.
I want to remain loving this game. I don't want to burn it.
Totally. 100%. Oh, but yeah, Crash trilogy, amazing. Have you got a favorite of the OG3?
I would, weirdly enough, I would say 2.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people go 3. And then 1 for, but I don't know. I think 2 just had that nicer balance in between.
As I get older, I think 2 is my favorite as time goes on. Whereas I was like a huge 3 guy, like for years and years and years and years. And years.
Oh yeah, when I was a kid, 3 was, I would have said 3 all day. But like nowadays, and again going through them again with the Insane trilogy after the fact, I think I found a newer, deeper love for the second game.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the base game, Free's Relics is good, but I feel like, I don't know, I love the flow of not needing to do Relics of 2 almost. Yeah. Because Relics is a grind, and it's difficult, and I do pull my beard hair out sometimes doing grinding of the Relics. So I think because of that, I think I'm more steered towards 2 because it's it's got a gorgeous flow to it. I think that's what it is. But I don't know. Yeah. All right, Spyro Man. Let's go for Spyro Man. That sounds like a superhero. Spyro.
Spyro is probably one of my deepest video game loves. I will be honest. I can play that trilogy all day, any day, if I had to. Like I said, I even what was it, earlier this year? I think for the first time I did a speed run of Spyro 1.
Oh wow!
Just to see if I could do it. It's like I think I can't remember the exact time, but I know it was sub 40. I think it was about 40 something minutes.
Wow, that is
to beat Spyro 1.
Jesus,
I was just
impressive.
I was just like I know it's not like speedrunner times, but I was still I thought I'd be over the hour for sure.
Yeah,
but like the fact that I was proud that I was like almost under. I'm pretty sure I was under that 45-minute run. So that I was happy enough with that.
Wow, man. Yeah. That wow. Yeah. I look at the Spyro.
I can safely say I'm pretty sure I know Spyro 1 off the back of my hand.
Yeah.
But I do still deeply love Spyro 2 and 3 as well.
Sorry.
Go on.
Do you watch much YouTube videos? Have you seen any Deoman's videos on YouTube?
No, I have not.
He's a hopeful guest one day. Deoman, please. He's a massive Spyro content creator. He did Spyro. He beat Spyro 1, and someone put gems in the most ridiculous places, and he was doing like glitches and stuff like that to be able to get to like certain places.
Yeah.
And stuff. It's mind blowing. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's like the actual like glitch speed runs and stuff is just crazy for any game. It's still baffling to me just watching people literally break a game. Like it's crazy. Like the amount of hours and research that had to go into breaking that game, like it's like phenomenal and weird. Like I could never do that. But like seeing this is like, what mental state were you in by the time you found that? Like, were you screaming? It's like, yes, it's done. I have it. There's a hole in the wall now. Yeah. Like,
oh, it is crazy. I mean, Crash. I've seen some Crash speedrunning as well. Mm. That's pretty crazy, but it's nothing on Spyro. Spyro is just batshit. It just really is. I don't know how. I've looked at Spyro speedrunning and gone, no. So when you saying I've got like a sub 45, I'm like, fucking hell, play. Like, that's insane. Oh man, wow. Okay, so we've talked about extensively 2 amazing games there. So what other PS1 games did you play growing up then?
I mean, a wild variety, I suppose. Like, I mean, I was a big 3D platformer kid. So like again, there was a lot of like Crash, Spyro, Croc. And then of course branching off to like Medieval. I adore Medieval as well. PS now granted I didn't play till well after the PS1, but Final Fantasy 7, 9, 8, those are all deep loves for me now. Yeah. But again, I didn't really grow up as such with those ones. Those I kind of went back to in my teens. Yeah. But again, those were phenomenal games as well. And then of course, there's still plenty of PS1 classics that I need to dig out of a hole somewhere and try and experience them for the first time. Like yourself, you're going through one I have to do as well, which I promised due to a charity reward forever ago, and I still need to do it. Is Metal Gear Solid 1.
Oof, yeah,
because I know you're in the middle of that yourself at the moment, I believe. See, I have to go through that myself.
Yeah.
Soon-ish when I get around to it. But yeah, I do have a fairly hefty knowledge when it comes to Metal Gear games. I've never played them myself because I suck at stealth games, and so I generally avoid them. Yeah. But I was always intrigued by the world and the characters of Metal Gear games, to the point where one of my closest friends growing up when we were in school, he was a massive like tear apart Metal Gear in every direction he could kind of game, and the whole series. That's why I've watched him basically beat every single game, like in his bedroom over, growing up over like after school and stuff like that. And I know the story and characters pretty well, but like, again, I've never done it personally, so I need to rectify that, because the only one I have played and beaten is 3.
Right. Okay, yeah.
And weirdly enough, and people are gonna be weirded out by it. That was on the 3DS version of Metal Gear Solid 3, and the only reason and it's the weirdest version of that, and the only reason I did get that was because it was in a bargain bin for like $9.99, and that's how I ended up picking that up. And weirdly enough, that's the version I clicked with and played. Don't ask me why. I still don't understand it myself, but I yeah, that's how I played Metal Gear Solid 3 for some reason.
So
and to be fair, it was a phenomenal fucking game.
We went from going Driver 3 is your first driver game.
Yeah,
that's unusual to going.
Metal Gear Solid 3 on the 3DS.
My first Metal Gear Solid game was the third one on the 3DS.
Well, technically, the first Metal Gear game I played was Rising, but that's because it wasn't a stealth game.
There we go.
That game is fucking amazing, and I'm still sad it never got a sequel. That soundtrack is just amazing.
Wow. Okay, well, that took turns.
It's such a derailing conversation. Welcome to my eclectic brain that goes to the weirdest directions at all times.
Oh, man, I'm having a great time. So, wow, okay. And I know you're a big fan of the PS2 console as well. I've seen you play a lot.
Oh, yeah, the PS2 was pretty much like the golden era of gaming for me.
Yeah.
At least they're a lot of my fondest memories, at least of growing up with the PS2, because like that was, as much as I had the PS1 like as a small child, like obviously most of my fundamental memories are locked in the later kind of when I was about like 8 beyond, and that was when I got the PS2. So like the games in there that are still to this day with me, like Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy X, Killzone, like all the different, like in the early stages of them, like with Medal of Honors and Call of Duty back in the earliest of days when they were campaign shooters more so than what they are now. I'm still angry to this day that Medal of Honor Rising Sun did not get a sequel because that cliffhanger ending is bullshit.
Wow.
Yeah, there's an eclectic mess of games on that system, which everyone knows because like the PS2, like for every gem that was on it, there was a dumpster of games that just ended up on there.
Yeah. I do feel like I mean, I PS1 is my era, and PS1 is like my golden generation. But and the problem with PS1 is that whilst there were so many amazing games, there's so much obscure games. Whereas the PS2 collection was a lot more refined, a lot more concentrated. As in, there was a lot less games. But I feel like the jank kind of came out spiking a lot more erratically in terms of not the best experience.
Yeah, but there's definitely a lot of experiences for sure with PS2 games, especially with recent months and with streaming, going back and streaming off the PS2 original hardware stuff. Because I had that all set up. I got the adapter and stuff for streaming off of the PS2 and the older systems to do those like as legit as I could when I could. Yeah, there was some deep dives and some stuff that I had that I'd only ever seen like the boxes of and never really tried. And there's still a few of them I want to go back to. I haven't done it yet either as well. But I still love when we stream Dog's Life because no one remembers that game. No, it is the most. It's probably one of the most obscure games I remember from my childhood, and it's just one of the weirdest experiences that takes such a, again, without spoiling it for anybody, but if you've played Dog's Life, you know it takes the weirdest, darkest turn for the last 5 minutes of the game.
Okay, yeah.
It's a strange game. It's a very fun little dog adventure for kids, and then you realize that, and then for the last 5 minutes, you kind of wonder, how did this get past the kids test? Did no one play it to the very end before putting that 3+ banner on there? Okay, cool.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's a weird end.
Oh dear. Oh no. Okay, I don't want to know.
Yeah. So have fun with that if you go look that up, anybody.
Amazing. Wow. I mean, and there's so many games we could talk about. Where did we go with from there? But it's great. It's great. So did you go from PS1 to PS2 directly? Was it like a straight? Yeah. And then from there, did you go PS4?
Yeah, I've been pretty much PlayStation. At least in terms of home console, I've been pretty much PlayStation the whole life cycle. Just kind of stuck with what I knew more or less than anything else. Plus, again, because with the thing with exclusives and that, I was already kind of locked in with those characters, and I wanted those to continue those adventures. So Xbox never really appealed to me. There's plenty of great Xbox games, don't get me wrong, and I've played my fair share of them over the years as well. But it was just growing up, I think most of the stuff that I ended up falling in love with were just kind of exclusive to PlayStation at the time. Now that's all changing, which is great. Which finally glad that we're kind of leaving this exclusivity thing. Yes. I know it's not totally gone, but at least we're now getting the kind of like, okay, a year later, it's now for everybody else. But okay, that's a step in the right direction, at least. But yeah, this console war seems to be finally kind of disappearing as of late, which is great to see.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that.
Other than Nintendo will stay forever in its walls of just being Nintendo.
yeah. Nintendo,
which is fine, but it's
it's an alternative, isn't it? I mean, they've hit that sweet spot of just providing an alternative, which is nice. Whereas before they were the prime for many years, weren't they? So
yeah.
So over the years, then, have you played much in terms of co-op games, multiplayer games? Do you play with friends, family?
For the early years, not really. Like again, the first time I kind of had like a friend in terms of playing video games with was pretty much in my teens. Because again, not to make a sad story out of it or anything. It's just a matter of no one in I live in the sticks of nowhere growing up most of the time, and then rural Ireland, especially back in the 2000s, and that technology is a weird thing to most people still in 2000.
Yeah.
And when the general consensus of it's either farming or Gaelic, as in the sport, like GAA football and hurling and stuff like that. Anything outside of that box weirds people out, and scares them a bit. And thankfully, it's not as bad today. But it was definitely back then. You were very much outcast. Let's put it that way. When it comes to your interest in that, and so not a lot of people picked up on because. Like sports, at least I don't know what it was like in the UK, like with soccer or anything like that, where it's the smaller communities are very sport ingrained, and like the communities all rally around the local sports stuff, and like they go to the games, they get celebrated in the pubs and that sort of thing, and like a lot of the adult entertainment revolved around the sports, whether it was from the under, like the minors up to the like the under 16, 18s, like proper teams and stuff. But if you didn't take part in that, you were kind of, which I did take part until a point where I kind of was like, I'm doing this for other people and not me.
Sure. Yes.
And then you kind of pull away from it, and then you really see what people think of you. Even then, like I have siblings, like I have two younger sisters, but they never really took to video games either. They have their own interests in that, and believe me, they tried. That they definitely tried, but it never stuck for them.
Yeah, that's
really cool. But yeah, like the first kind of co-op and multiplayer experiences that kind of began for me was pretty much when I got to like my secondary school years. So when I finally met other people that played video games, that knew what they were and knew what the hell I was talking about, that was a really fun experience. The first time you have that kind of, oh my god, you're my people.
Yes.
Like that when you don't have that for like the first like 12 years of your life, and you're kind of like, oh shit, there are other people that do this. But yeah, I have very fun memories of that, with like Resi 5, Borderlands again. Still,
nice.
I adore Borderlands 1 and 2, and I still like 3. They went a bit wrong with 3. The gameplay is fantastic with 3. Story was a bit of a letdown, but again, I still have those fondest memories with my best friend growing up, and that with the likes of those games. Again, the Killzone multiplayer, and then of course the Call of Duties at the time when we were teenagers and stuff like that. Not so much now, but I still remember those days, with fondness, because again, like it was the first time I kind of had that experience of playing a game with people, and then being able to talk about a game with somebody else, and like that we're also playing the same thing, and like we're at the same points, or like being able to voice those kind of opinions and have someone understand what you're saying, as opposed to like saying it to your parents, your grandparents, and they're just kind of acknowledging your conversation, which I do greatly appreciate that they did do that to let me kind of get those thoughts out loud, as opposed to telling me to kind of shut up, I don't care kind of a thing.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, it's nice to kind of, when you get to that point, then when you have people that you can kind of, like, even now with streaming, I get that now even more, that when I'm playing stuff, that I get that feedback while we're experiencing something together, as opposed to, especially if it's something that they also haven't played and we're doing it at the same time, or if somebody's come in that knows what's coming and but still has an opinion to share, as you're discussing it at the time, which I think I enjoy the most about streaming, is just having that kind of community of people that actually want to talk about stuff and enjoy it, or even if they don't enjoy it, that's okay too, but you can still have that healthy conversation of for both perspectives of, like, because, like, again, everybody's entitled to an opinion. If you don't like the game, you're allowed to not like the game. I'm not going to criticize you for not liking the game, but it's a healthy balance of being able to find what is the good bits of the game, of being able to see what's right and wrong in any situation. I mean, that's conversations in general, but it's nice when you get the people that aren't going to fight over it, but accept that you're having a conversation as opposed to have an argument.
Totally, 100%. Yeah. Amazing. Wow. So I mean, that's wow. Where do I start with that? That was great. So I mean, like, there was so many that PS3, Xbox 360 era of multiplayer games was just. I think that's when there was a lovely sweet spot when it came to co-op. You mentioned Borderlands and RE3 are just great examples of that. I didn't play a lot of Borderlands, and to this day, I'm like, I do want to play a full campaign of Borderlands with someone. I was trying to get my wife to do it at one point, maybe it just didn't work out. It's so good. It's such a great game. But again, RE5 was nice for that as well. RE5 co-op is really fun as well.
Yeah. Our RE5 again was a great time as well. I'm really hoping. I'm scared because I know the remake's coming. It's a given, especially with, again, no spoilers for anybody who hasn't played RE4 remake yet. So stop listening at that for about 2 seconds. But it's definitely leading into, at least that's how it feels, is that we're leading into that road becoming a reality. Yeah. And it's a case. I'm very curious if they'll hold the co-op, because I know at least when Resi 5 first came out, there was a lot of backlash to that adding of the heavy action with the co-op brought, and less kind of, because let's be honest, Resi 5 isn't scary in any capacity, by comparison to the others before it. The horror's kind of gone to the wayside with Resi 5, which isn't. It's a bad thing in one respect, but at the same time, Resi 5 as a game on its own, being that action co-op in the setting that it has, still holds up very well and is a fun game. But I'd be I hope that they still keep the co-op when it comes to remaking it, and I'd be very curious to how they implement certain things when it comes to Resi 5's co-op experience.
Yeah, it would be interesting. I mean, they can't not do it co-op, can they? It'd be. Can you imagine a backlash of it's got to be co-op? What they do, like 2 separate ways campaigns of Chev and Chris. That'd be weird.
It would be weird.
Yeah.
But it also depends on how much they're going to rewrite that story to kind of, because they're obviously tying this in so that they connect properly with 7 and 8.
Yeah.
Because obviously with the introduction of Chris and that being in 8 and all that, they now have to kind of properly, because 7 kind of stood on its own until they decided it wasn't. So now it's a case of bringing all the before it to properly connect with 7 and 8 now. So it'll be a case of what will if there will be any drastic changes between Resi 5 now and 6 has a lot of work that probably needs changing to tie it into 7. Let's be honest again. So it'd be interesting if they go the route of Resi 5 to 7 and just ignore 6 entirely, or it'd be interesting to say. I don't think they will, because I think they're on, like, even in a business and a money standpoint, they're not going to skip a game. They're going to bring it out again anyway. But I'm just more curious in the story standpoint what route they're going to take with 5 in incorporating also the co-opness of it, and then see how well they take it then to 6 down the road. Granted, there's no point talking about 6 at the moment, because that's at least 5 years away at this point. We'll worry about 5 for the time being.
Yeah.
But in terms of then Resi remakes, I still want Zero and
I want Code Veronica.
Thank you. That's the book I was trying to remember, because like, what's the name? It's a woman's name. Where's it gone? Yeah, Code Veronica. Thank you. Yeah, that because again, I've found that's the only Resi game I've still not played.
Oh, wow.
Is Code Veronica.
Yeah,
and that's why when I knew the remake was coming, I was like, I know I could play the OG, but at this point, it's like I could play the really shiny, pretty version that runs better.
Yeah,
and works, and it won't crash on me.
Yeah.
Well, in theory, it won't crash on me.
Yeah, Code Veronica.
Let's be honest.
It's quite expensive now on like consoles.
Yeah,
like PS2 or whatever. Yeah.
But I've always heard good things about Code Veronica, because I know Code Veronica was supposed to be Resi 3 technically.
Yeah.
I know that's the case. So I'm very curious to how, because again, I've not seen anything and I've not played it, so I'm hoping that if the remake does come again. Actually, while we're talking right now, not to date this episode or anything, but Gamescom is starting today, I believe. So who knows? We might see something this week that might tie to that. We don't know.
Yeah.
That'll be news for later this week, I guess. But it would be nice to see if something appears during this week in terms of Resi remakes or something.
Yeah. This whole episode will be, well, this section of the podcast will just be completely redundant if that happens. But no, it's not. It's just pre-announcement. Okay.
I predicted the future. Yeah. No, thank me.
Oh my God, Zanarkin, how did you know?
It's not open on the other screen. What do you mean?
Hey, look! Oh my God, that Final Fantasy IX remake's finally announced.
Yeah, let's just throw everything out into the ether and hope for the best.
Yeah.
Spyro 4! Oh man, yes!
Whoa! Oh, funny. No, yeah. Okay.
The funny part will be if any of this is true.
It all came out.
In an hour.
Yeah. It all came out, mate. Yeah, wow. Okay, so let's talk about difficult games. I mean, we've talked about Crash 1, for God's sakes, and Drive. But what's some of the hardest games you played? And the
range and difficulty, I suppose, in different difficulty capacities, I guess, if you'd say.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I'm a big Souls fan. I love the Soulsborne games. I have beaten them all. I'm currently still streaming the DLC for Elden Ring at the moment. That is kicking my ass, as it did everyone. So I'm not too worried about that, but we'll get through there eventually. But yeah, no, I do really enjoy Demon Souls and Dark Souls, and throughout the years, obviously, and then Bloodborne, the likes, and then of course, obviously, some of the non-From Software ones like Lies of P was great as well, But there's some of the challenges, and then obviously there's the difficulty in not terms of like combat difficulty, but then of course you got platformer difficulties. Yeah. Again, I got like Super Meat Boy. I fucking love Super Meat Boy. I'm still a person that adores the original soundtrack for Super Meat Boy. Danny Baranowski's score for that is fantastic. I know they changed it for the console releases, which still saddens me because he worked so hard on that. But again, it still exists, so it's out there. But yeah, the stuff like that. Shovel Knight's great. I still need to play Hollow Knight. It's been in my backlog forever. I've heard great things. Good, I just haven't got around to it. Like even now, like I only this year got around to playing my first Metroid games.
Right. Yeah.
I hadn't played any of them up until my first Metroid was the remaster of Prime. And then after that, I was just like, "Holy crap! Have I been sitting on this franchise my entire?" I know the other games are very different, and I have played some of them now. But like after Prime, then I think a couple of weeks later, then I started streaming Fusion. I think it's the Game Boy Advance one, and I fucking loved it. It's such a good game. And then I played Dread 2 months ago, I think. That's a weird spectrum of jumping between like the spin-off like FPS one of Prime, and then I went back to the GBA one for Fusion, and then up to the most recent version of like the mainline games of being Dread. And again, they're such good games. Like holy hell! Like even the old ones still stand the test of time. They're such good games. So I'm very much loving getting to go through all these Metroid games that I missed out on over the years, because I missed out on the whole franchise.
Yeah, amazing.
But yeah, I'm trying to think the other difficult things that are trying to pop into my head. But obviously the Souls stuff is the most obvious thing when we talk about difficulty, at least in modern gaming conventions. But yeah, there's also like the stuff like that where like with Super Meat Boy and games like of its like.
It's so funny. Super Meat Boy doesn't get talked about in terms of. I don't think many people have mentioned it on the podcast, and I'm like, it's so hard. Like my lad's playing it at the moment. He's smashing through it. He's loving it. And I'm like, how do you do that?
Like I said, if I tried to do it now, I don't think I could either. Like I said, it's why games like Celeste and stuff scares me now. Because again, as much as I know I would love them, and especially if they came out at that time period of my life, like I definitely would have like probably sunk my teeth into them. But like like I said, I still need to play Hollow Knight and stuff like that because I've heard nothing but greatness.
Have you played Ori or in the Blind Forest?
No, actually, I have not. Again, another game that's in my backlog that looks phenomenal. But like I need to get on that at some point as well. I know there's because I meant again so many times where games are getting sequels in recent years while I've been streaming, and it has driven me to go back to the ones beforehand to try and then stream the sequels or whatever. Which again also happening right now because I'm playing Space Marine for the first time, the Warhammer 40k game, because Space Marine 2 comes out I think in 2-3 weeks or so, something like that. September 9th, I believe, is the release for that. But I'm currently going through that at the moment now, and I'm really enjoying it. You definitely feel its age. Like it's definitely like a early mid 2000s campaign shooter. Like it's a straight line killing game, but it's still really fun. Just gunning down through loads of enemies and just. Like that's that simple gaming joy. Like there's no as much as I enjoy again, I love a good story in games. Like I love getting like just invested and just completely kind of just pulled in. But like it's also nice to get those games where it's kind of like you don't have that kind of freedom. It's just kind of like you're put in a place. There's the target. Go.
Yeah.
And I think those games are good to have. Which I feel are slowly dying out now because we've so many like open world RPG elemented added games that I feel they're getting a bit oversaturated now. I think we need to kind of pull back a bit. Like it's great that we have open maps and I love that too. But I think the days of like the single player campaign shooters and like linear action adventure games kind of are going a bit to the wayside, and I think slowly are coming back again. Like everything has this day kind of loops back around, like the trends and everything, but they are slowly coming back. But it's nice to see. So I'm hopefully that the release of Space Marine 2 might bring back some joy and love for the campaign shooter, I guess, as opposed to the competitive or the multiplayer shooter, which again they have their place too. But I feel like it's been a long time since we've had really solid like linear-esque campaigns in terms of like shooters or action adventure, like mascot games, I guess, as well. It's kind of gone a bit to the wayside too. But again, like you're seeing the resurgence of those, especially this year. There's a lot of that coming back. Like again, Space Marine 2, Astrobot getting a sequel after all these years of the PS5's launch, with like the Astro's Playroom, which if you've not played that, if you have a PS5, that is a phenomenal game. And it's just a free installation with the console that you got on purchase if you have a PS5. But again, that's finally getting a sequel now with a full-blown campaign and a colorful world of characters and platforming and challenges and all that fun stuff that we all loved from those kind of I suppose those days of Spyro and Banjo, that kind of type of thing. Like the collectathon platformer, I guess, is nice. Just hopefully making more of a resurgence as well, because. But it's again, it's only time will tell, I suppose, if we start seeing a resurgence of certain genres that have kind of gone to the wayside.
That's one thing I've noticed in general about modern gaming is that those yesteryear genres, there's indie campaigns and movements and collectives really pushing for it to be a place in modern gaming, even if it's not done by AAA titles. I feel like there's these pushes, like you mentioned. Like,
well, I have a firm belief that the indie scene is truly carrying the gaming right now. Like again, there's been some great AAA games over the years. Don't get me wrong, but there's so many indie games that deserve so much more credit that have been honestly some of my personal games of the year for the last decade almost, if not more. Like that don't get enough love, don't get enough screen time, or earn enough whatever to even get sequels that they deserve. Because again, even in the last 2 years ago, like some of the best games I've played were indie games.
Yeah.
Like Dredge was fantastic. I really enjoyed that. For weird of what it was, being a fishing sim, eldritch horror crossover thing, it's such a fun, chill game for something that's not chill at all. And then like the likes of Stray, like that just being a game that was like that game was phenomenal. Like they made me cry at the end. It's like I like again, it's a game about a cat in a cyberpunk world, and yet I'm somehow feeling emotions. Like those worlds somehow are such strong points. And again, like there's been so many games like that you sink hundreds of hours into more than you would in AAA games. Like just for argument's sake, like The Binding of Isaac. I've pumped so many hours into that over the years between the original release and of course the remake re-release stuff of Repentance and all that stuff later down the road. And then of course, like we said, Super Meat Boy is a phenomenal platformer, which led down the road for stuff like Celeste to exist, and then Hollow Knight as well.
Oh, it's a massive landmark title, isn't it? I don't think people again realise how much of a landmark title Super Meat Boy was. You know, the whole Newgrounds movement thing as well. Like again,
for sure.
Who would have thought a Newgrounds game would have been like a game that actually came to be? You know, yeah. And
then, sorry, just give me a second.
No.
I'm talking so much, my throat's gone dry.
No, I'm loving it, man. Loving it. Thank you. Yeah, but it is. There's so many great indie games of yesteryear and now. There really is.
But like even like in terms of like puzzle games, like the indie scene is carrying pretty much the puzzle genre at this point. Because like the last great puzzle game I remember being like a AAA release is probably Portal 2.
Yeah.
But like at least in terms of like AAA puzzle games, and like the rest has been carried then by the indie teams. Like you got Escape Simulator now with all the escape rooms and stuff, which is a blast to play as well. There was like Escape Academy, another similar game to that. Then of course Sweden really just carrying in terms of indie countries. Freaking Tome was a great cartoon style like photography puzzle game. What else was there? Obviously, like, Goat Simulator makes no sense, but it is probably an insane amount of fun. It is an extremely insane amount of fun. Yeah. I enjoyed both games thoroughly, and the DLC for the newest one that earlier this year as well was great. What else? There was another one that didn't quite get Game of the Year. I know it got awards, but name escapes me. If it comes back to me, but it was another like kind of open world like platformer game. It was like you played as this little girl. It was made for, in like I think it's like South America, from a small like indie team in a South American island. I can't remember. Completely gone on my head because I loved it. I 100%ed the game and everything no, I'm gonna hate that now because it's gonna be in the back of my mind. I'm gonna remember it after we stop talking, and it's gonna annoy me.
I'll get a message at 4 a.m.
It's gonna be one of those situations for sure. But forgive me, team. Like I did love that game. My brain is just not cooperating. But then of course there's stuff like Little Nightmares. Like I have an unprofound love. I don't understand why, but I do. Little Nightmares 1 and 2 are just phenomenal games. And I'm still sad that 3 got pushed back to next year. I was really looking forward to that this year. Yeah. But I guess it just gives me something to look forward to in the new year, I guess. Because there's still plenty of stuff coming out now, so I guess it did me a favor.
Yeah, no, true. Let's see the conversation then towards streaming then. So, so you've been streaming for 2.5 years. What were the moments then that led towards you? So you hit go live for the first time, but before then, what were the steps that led you towards that moment happening? What was happening in life and tech and stuff, in your gaming?
Well, it was always something I was interested in. Like, even since like the earlier days of when kind of YouTube became like Let's Players and all that sort of thing kind of took over, because that really kind of stormed through in my early teens and stuff. But like I never had a computer, or like I didn't get a computer for the first time until I went to college, and that was when I was about 17 when I went to college after secondary school and stuff. And I got a laptop just so I could do the work, you know. But so it wasn't really built for any, you know, substantial gaming needs or whatever. So it was just like kind of to get the work done. That doesn't mean I didn't try and play some games on there too, but it definitely wasn't built for it. Yes. I've derailed my trade. Yeah. The let's players and stuff like that obviously interested me enough when growing up, and that would be kind of my go-to watching things in terms of watching things online. And then of course the birth of streaming with Twitch and the likes, and always had an interest in doing it, but again, living in the sticks and then not really having a computer until much later in life, and internet was awful here. Like well, now it's fine. Which finally, like we only got fiber last year, and before that we never got the upgrade to, like, because we were on the phone line, like not the dial-up, but the first internet introduction after dial-up, like the proper broadband, like when we had Wi-Fi for the first time, like that first integration into Ireland is what I had up until last year. Because we never got that secondary stage of, because where we live, that never got upgraded the second time round. Like when people had like the 100 megabit speeds, like that sort of thing, that never happened for us. So I was still using, and again, I couldn't play online then when the PS3 moved to PS4, because the data that needed to be able to travel for, you know, connecting to video games, like all that, you know, like the higher graphics and then the higher speeds for like games and stuff, it just wouldn't work. So I had to go back to playing single player games again, pretty much entirely for the PS4 era, because it barely handled most things at that point. But then the only reason, purely by chance, I figured out 2.5 years ago at Christmas. That 2.5 years ago, because I started streaming the end of January of that year that I started, which was 22. The hotspot on my phone was 10 times faster than the internet going into the wall.
Oh my god.
I found out by accident, because I was trying to connect to something to do something, and the other thing wouldn't let me. I was just like, by chance, I just kind of went, oh, maybe the hotspot will last long enough for me to do this. And then I just by chance ran a speed test with that up, and I was just like my jaw hit the table. I was like,
crazy.
Why am I not doing this? So then I ended up buying, and then when I started streaming, the first month or two of streaming was directly from my PS5, like the streaming from the PS5 to Twitch. I went and bought the PS5 camera, so I had a face cam or whatever, and the first month or two was streaming directly from the PS5 itself, from my mobile phone hotspot.
That is mental. That is crazy.
And then I quickly learned that unlimited data isn't really unlimited.
I was gonna say, that ain't cheap.
It is. Yeah, it's unlimited data on my phone, because because I'm on a prepaid, so like I pay the 20 quid, you know, a month for the sim, and that covers, you know, all the stuff or whatever. But the thing is, it says unlimited, which is true. They don't cut you off, but after a certain period of data, they throttle it. So you still have connection that you can for your phone, but if you wanted to download something on it or upload, in this case, doesn't quite work. So then that gave birth to the second iteration of streaming. I bought a second SIM card, and I had a 2-week interval on those payments. So every 2 weeks I was paying for the other month's SIM card to keep the stream alive. And that was that way for a very long time, for at least a year of me streaming, until eventually we finally got the fiber in last year, and I've thankfully stopped having to pay for 2 SIM cards.
We've known each other for goodness, getting close to around 2 of those years. I have. Do your community know this? Is this like
the early people do. the early people do.
Sure.
The mods know it. Like that were around for those first 2 or 3 months, so that was it was a lot longer than that. But that was the conversation stopped after like 3 months because we were used to that's how it worked.
Where did he go? He'll be back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, but like that happened like because I got to the end of the first month of streaming, and then there was a case of, oh crap, I've run out of data. And the bill payment isn't for another week, so I had to cancel a week of streaming because the bill didn't go up until. But then I was that's what maybe gotta go. Okay, so if I buy another SIM card and I just when I get to the 2 week point of using one card, I top up the other one. Yeah. So that way, when I run out of this one, I switch the SIM hotspot and then continue for that 2 weeks, and then. So that way, both cards were never totally throttled, so they just kind of synced each other out.
That's one of my favourite stories on this podcast, mate. Honestly, I fucking love that. That's so funny.
Yeah, I still have the 2 SIM cards. I just don't pay for the second one anymore.
Yeah, cherish them.
So they're still in my phone. I've still the exact same phone.
I love you 1 and 2.
Since it's still using the same phone that I started that with. It's still there.
Oh man, I relate a lot to your stories living in North Wales. It's quite rural, quite and stuff like that here, but I can't relate to that. That's where the line is drawn, bro. It's bad, but it's not that bad.
So welcome to rural Ireland, where Ireland stops existing outside of Dublin for most people.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, that's how that all started. And
so, what was the first game you played live, anyway?
First stream was Shadow of the Colossus, the remake on PS5. Which again, another one of my favorite games from the PS2 era. Again, I even if you don't like it, I still think every gamer should experience that journey once at least. Just, even if you don't like it, but like,
it's awesome.
I still think it's one of those games that everyone kind of needs to play at least once.
Yeah,
like because even just for the score alone, like the fucking soundtrack to that game is still just amazing.
It was the first game I ever remember really being talked about video gaming as an art form. Like you can get glimpses and all that stuff.
Yeah, like Ico before really it was pretty close, but like the Shadow of the Colossus really took a kind of different standing point.
Yeah, 100%. Ico, I do prefer Shadow to Ico, but yeah, you're right. Ico is in a similar vein, isn't it?
Just that studio just knew what they were doing when they made, and like they made such beautiful games. They're each one equally different.
Yeah.
Because again, of course, then Trico or whatever it was, the Last Guardian, that's what it's called. Yeah. Tri was the animal's name, but yeah, the Last Guardian, which didn't stand as well as the other two did, but I still enjoyed the beauty and the simplicity of the journey with that in that game too. But no, Shadow of the Colossus, just between the designs of each colossi and the vastness of this world and not understanding why it's so big and so empty, and you never really do learn, other than just like obviously by the end you kind of piece some smaller things together, but there's never any true definite answer, and it's always just kind of left to kind of you to see what that world was and what it does and what it means in terms of beginning and end.
Absolutely stunning. Yeah, like you said, if you do explore the world between colossi as well, there's very subtle changes as well.
It's such small subtle detailings for that game, but they're all for something so subtle and small makes such a massive impact.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I truly understand why a lot of people also don't like it.
Yeah.
But I still think don't dislike it until you just do one full run yourself.
Yeah.
And then if you still don't like it after that, obviously that's fair. But it's one of those games where you just kind of really, especially back then, it was like the first time a game kind of had me, even though nothing was happening, but I was still fully engaged and enthralled. Like other than obviously the fights being the main game and that, but like that score, like just the music as you're traveling through that world, and then the sudden build up of the suspense as you're approaching one of the arenas, and then suddenly like that massive orchestra kicks in for the fights, and that it's just like, man, I that's one thing to this day I still hope I can do is see an orchestra live playing video game music. I've not gotten to do that yet.
Yes, please do.
And I need to. I don't know when one will happen near me anyway, but I need that because I want to experience that full proper boom, especially for music from hopefully from Shadow of the Colossus. But there's so many other games as well, like obviously like Final Fantasy, like Nobuo Uematsu is a composing genius when it comes to those games.
The Final Fantasy Orchestra, I bawled my eyes out 3 times during the whole thing. Oh,
I probably be the same, so I'm not gonna can't criticize that.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not envious either.
Yeah. No, I was like, it was the second song. It was like a song from Final Fantasy 8, which is not a song that I tend to like care too much about on a normal playthrough. And it just like, oh my god, I was like, this is only the second song. How am I going to be like later on?
This isn't what I was thinking this was going to happen to. What's going to happen when I get to those ones?
Yeah, I was thinking, that song might make me cry, that song. Not this one. What's going on? So, yeah, man. Yeah, you got to do it. Yeah.
I keep an eye out, but I haven't seen anything pop up as of yet.
Yeah,
I know I missed out because there was the one for Zelda. There was the 25th or 35th anniversary, concert or whatever was going on. I missed that because I think I only found out about it by a poster while I was at another gig, and then it was like like the day after or whatever while I was already there. It's like, God damn it. I was like, I again, as much as I enjoyed the gig I went to at the same time, I was just like, I could have been at that.
Fuck. Okay, let's talk about like streaming memories. So 2.5 years of streaming. Like, what are some of your favorite things that you've done over that time?
Oh god. I'm quite. I don't have a lot of things I'm proud of. But streaming is one of them. But especially. I am eternally grateful for every charity campaign we've done over the years.
You've done so much charity work, mate.
I never like when I did the first one. Like I thought, like, what's the worst? I could make a small bit. It's something. But again, like the first one, like I think what was I think I was still sub like 300 followers that first charity campaign. And I think we raised 750 quid, and like I was in tears, like I was bawling by the end of that stream, because I never saw that kind of change being possible from me, let alone this. Like, never mind it being a small streamer, but just me in general. Like, I didn't believe in me until those points kind of came, and then I realized like it's like even I can do other things, and that's what made me keep doing them, because whether I make a small amount or a bigger amount doesn't matter. It's the fact that just taking the time out to help and do something is a great joy that I have with streaming in life. Like I says, I will still do more this year, even now we're both taking part now with the Twitch Olympics and stuff like that. But like again, I still have plans for later in the year for at least 2 more before the end of the year, but it's just a great joy to be able to help help those causes, because like just being able to bring, I think it's the bringing, not even so much even just in the charity aspect of things, but like being able to bring a bunch of people together and direct it in a way that's positive. Even if it's a case of making people smile on a day, or helping a cause make better changes elsewhere in the world, like whether it's like Samaritans or cancer societies, children's hospitals, whatever it is that we do end up raising money for, whatever causes we end up fighting for. Like it's just the memories of going along the way, and like the people you meet, and just even if they only, some people, I still remember people that only showed up one time in a stream from whatever, and they left an impact or whatever. The fact that they took the time out of a day to spend half an hour with me means the world to me. And even every day that someone takes 10 minutes, an hour, 3 hours, God forbid the full 4, like to take that out of their day to just chat with me, or even they're not even chatting, if they're just there, I know they're there, like. And it's just, it means the world to me, especially as someone like that, like I said earlier, like that kind of that lonely spirit in me, that knowing that there's someone there, and like we come together, and there's other people that may or may not feel lonely, but we have a small place like slowly getting bigger.
Yes.
And I just love having that space that we've created over 2.5 years, just of kind souls, great laughs, and utter nonsense whenever it arrives. It's I honestly I live for that stuff now. Yeah, just the whirlwind of emotions that come with it. Like it again, we all have our ups and our downs through streaming, and sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's easy, easier. But like there's just some really fond memories of laughing and the smiling, and when you wrap up and turn it off and whatever, and those days where you're just kind of left. When you started that, you were probably, they don't know it, but you might have been really shit.
Yeah.
And then after the fact, you kind of look back and you go, it's like, I could have been still feeling really shit right now.
Yes.
But I'm smiling now, and hopefully I've done the same for somebody else. 100%. Even if it's just one. Like, even when I started, that's all I wanted.
Yeah.
If I can brighten up just one person's day, that's not a waste of my time then.
Yeah.
It's not a waste of my time, because I'm better for it. Like I said, when I first started this, I was a lot less of a confident person. Like I didn't talk to people. Like I wouldn't do a lot of things. Like I pretty much keep to myself for the most part, and I still kind of do. But at the same time, I still have now a branch, I guess, that it's now extending, and I'm growing as a person, and also being there to watch other people grow and come into themselves, whether it's because of me or not, but they're there, and seeing people kind of come in in a maybe not so great way, but then later through the stream, when someone comes in, when you know they're not okay, especially when it comes to regular people that you know they're all, you can generally tell with certain people the mannerisms that you're not quite all right, but by the time you get to the end of the stream, when you sometimes you can tell there's like, okay, whether it was me or not, or somebody else on another chat or whatever, they're okay now, and then you feel a bit, you feel better about your day, knowing, okay, look, things didn't go right for me for the full day, but for now, at least I can go to bed tonight and go, I had a laugh.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I've made other people laugh.
Yes.
And we can ride into the next day and see what comes.
Yes, mate. Amazing. Oh, thanks for sharing that. And I completely agree with everything you said. I really do. Like, again, like in terms of, I can relate to you in terms of the charity stuff. I can relate to you in terms of the community. I can relate in terms of like just seeing you and you got a wonderful community. You got a very lovely, tight niche community that I respect from your side of things. It's so beautiful to see, and you should be proud, and hearing that you saying that you've come a long way in terms of your confidence and stuff like that is it's music to my ears, mate. So I'm really proud and happy for you. That's awesome. I am looking at the time and I'm like, oh, okay, where did that go? So
oh shit,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. So I love asking this question. So I don't know if this is going to be the last question, but we'll see. But I love asking this question. So this may be the last one. If you were stuck on a remote island, and on that island you could only bring 3 games with you, you can play DLCs, you can play multiplayer, you can play mods if you want, but only 3 games on the island. I know you're technically on an island, but it's much smaller. Much smaller.
I was like, well, this is easy because I do that. I live on an island. Much
smaller.
This is fine.
2 hotspots permanently. Unlimited data. Legit.
No, not again. Not again.
No.
I suppose. Yeah, that's a conundrum. I'll pull a safety net because I know I've pumped a lot of time into it, and especially again if we got mods and stuff, I can pump a lot of time into it even more again. Minecraft is a safe haven because I've ungodly amount of hours in Minecraft because again it's super chill, and then with mods in it doesn't have to be as chill at all. It could be the most chaotic, horrifying experience you could ask for. Yeah. But yeah, the guy like Minecraft definitely has to be in there because it's a safe game of it can be chill or it can be an adventure. You got a world of avenues to explore in that one. In terms of, excuse me, I suppose I could cheat because technically it's one game.
Sure.
Technically, it's the Reignited trilogy. It's one disc.
Yes.
It's 3 games on one disc. I could take all 3 Spyros with me. I will, because again, I can happily go through that. And I suppose just for an action perspective, I guess maybe Borderlands 2.
Nice. Yeah, that's a great selection of games, to be fair. Yeah.
Just to cater to all my, again, variety is the spice of life, so I'm not going to click 3 games of the same. So yeah, but Minecraft's a safe haven for chill.
Yep.
And then, of course, the joys of Spyro, and then Borderlands is always a fun, just a slaughter fest. So
I might join you on that island. I like that island. Yeah. Yeah. Very, very eclectic. Again, I mean, it's you to a T as well. If you don't mind me saying, I think I genuinely, yeah, I love that. Okay, I don't think I can squeeze another question, but yeah, what a chat! I fucking love that chat. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Oh, it really has been fun for me as well. I promise. It's been
and I apologize to you and any listeners if there was so much rambling in that, because I didn't realize how long we've already been going for. So if there's any long rambling sensations in that, I apologize in advance for your time.
I thoroughly enjoyed your rambling, sir. One more time, tell us where we can find you. So you've got Twitch, you got a TikTok, anywhere else?
Oh yeah, Twitch, ZanarkinGaming, and then they're all the same pretty much everywhere else. So you'll find it. There's the TikTok. Obviously, my Instagram is still there as well. It's been a bit radio silent, but maybe that'll pick up. But yeah, there's the YouTube as well, which is again gone a bit radio silent because I was using that to store the VODs and stuff, but that got a bit overwhelming considering I lost track of time, and now there's about like 6 months of streams that haven't gone up. So I'll figure that out eventually, maybe. But yeah, no, Twitch is probably the best place, and of course, obviously, my own Discords and stuff like that. Yeah. Great place to be. But yeah, that's the main place. If you're gonna look for me, Twitch is probably your best bet.
Yeah, 100%, definitely. Everyone, please check out ZanarkinGaming. He is one of my faves. Genuinely lovely guy, great vibes, lovely community. Eclectic variety gaming at its best and its rarest, I must say. Honestly, you'll have a great time at Zanarkin. Please check him out, guys. I promise you. Just do it. Just do it. Thanks so much, man. That was so much fun.
I truly appreciate the invitation. It's been an interesting and fun experience.
Yes, I'm glad.
So now you know the first podcast for me is yours. There we go. So podcast virginity gone. There we go. It's all.
All done. I popped your podcast cherry, and I would do it again. Next week, next guest is ZanarkinGaming.
Episode 2 yes. Coming soon.
I could happily chat another hour with you if I could. Oh.
Apparently we could have if we didn't pay attention enough.
Yeah, you could have done.
I didn't realize that it'd been an hour and a half already.
Mate, thanks so much again. Everyone, thanks so much for watching / listening. Follow Zanarkin, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.